plant eaters, it's Beth from Past the Plants, where I make plant-based recipes that anyone can enjoy. Today I have an amazing kind of tutorial for you for a staple that I've been keeping around all the time now that I've learned how to make it. And it is a grain-free, gluten-free, oil-free breadcrumb that's super crispy, tastes amazing, and is super easy to make. And we're gonna do it right now. So today we're going to make chickpea crumbs. Yes, my friends, you can turn this can of chickpeas, actually, I'm gonna suggest you do at least 2, into breadcrumbs that are crispy, crunchy, they don't go soggy on you, and you can bake them in the oven. They are amazing. So we're gonna get started with these right now. So you can use either soaked dried chickpeas, you soaked overnight, like for my veggie burgers, which you can see the link in the description below for how to do that. But because I like to use the aquafaba, the liquid from the chickpeas, as part of the breading of anything that I might be coating with the breadcrumbs, I tend to like to use the canned chickpeas. So it's up to you, whatever you want to do. If you're not into keeping the aquafaba around, then don't worry about that. But either way you want to do it, it's actually still faster to use the canned chickpeas. So I keep soaked chickpeas on hand. Sometimes I use canned. You've got options. Today I'm going to show you the canned. Okay, so first we got to open our can. Did you guys know that, maybe you guys already know that you do the can opener on the top, like you lay it flat like this. My whole life I thought you go like this. You like grip the can like a claw, like a lobster claw, and you grip it and it cuts a little line out and it's sharp and you have to be really careful. It turns out there's another way, and it might be the preferred / better way. So let's take a look at that, shall we? So you take the can opener, I can't believe I'm showing you guys a can opener trick, but it's cool, so I want to show you. And you lay it down flat like this, and you open up the hinge, and then you kind of let it grab onto the edge. Click, hear the click, and then you turn it, and what it's basically doing is breaking the seal where the can connects to where the lid connects to the can. So it's not as sharp, and it comes off really nice and clean. The only thing I don't like about it is it's kind of messy because you're putting a little bit of pressure down, and you sometimes get this long paper thing. So it kind of comes right up to the edge when there's liquid. So I'm getting some mess here, which is not my favorite. I don't like wasting the aquafaba. But then you're also not getting the can blade down into this interior. It's not even touching it at all. It's going around the outside. So there's pros and cons, but in any case, it is going to be a little bit messy when you have this liquid all the way up to the top. You can see it's like brimming over. So I've got my little bowl here with my fine mesh sieve. Very carefully, I'm going to pour this in. Okay. And then I'm just going to transfer these to a bowl. Drain them off nice. Woo! Runaway chickpea! Okay. And then I think I'm going to be able to do that again. We'll see if we have any spills. I think I'll just hold it over this time so it doesn't displace anything. Oh, look at that. It's like the perfect amount. Okay, so we have our chickpeas drained. Add that over there. And I'll go toss this. Okay, so I've already set that aquafaba aside, but if you're not going to use that for your breading process, you can just chuck it. I really love using the aquafaba, but it's totally up to you. So now to proceed with the chickpea crumbs, we are going to pulse them up really finely in a food processor and then put them on a baking sheet to kind of dry out. And then we will pulse them again and let them dry out a little bit more. And then we've got chickpea crumbs. It is literally as easy as that. So let's get started. With the canned chickpeas, it's really important to not over-process them. They can turn to mush really easily. So for this first pass through before they've dried out at all, I just pulse them into really coarse crumbs and then dump them on a baking sheet for the first pass in the oven. Okay, so we're just gonna pulse really quick here. And then you might want to scrape down the side a little bit. So you can already kind of tell it's getting really kind of pureed almost. We just have to do this one little bit more. So with the soaked chickpeas, if you do the soaked dried chickpea option, you have a lot more flexibility on how far down you can grind them up because they're really hard at first. Okay, so we're going to put this on a baking sheet. So now we're just going to, whoops, dump this out right onto the tray. Okay, you do not have to rinse this out, okay? Just leave it because you're going to use it again to grind them up once they've baked in the oven, and there's no sense in like rinsing it out and cleaning it. It's going to be fine. Okay, so now you just want to kind of spread this out loosely across the whole baking sheet, and it's going to kind of be clumpy. Whether you're using the soaked chickpeas or these canned ones, it's going to seem really clumpy at first, and you're going to be like, Beth, this does not look like breadcrumbs. This doesn't look like anything. It just looks like chunks of chickpea all over my tray. And you're right, but it's not going to look like that in the end. So hang in there, believe in me. We're going to make chickpea crumbs together, and they're going to be awesome. Wow, motivational speaker about chickpea crumbs. Never saw that coming when I was growing up and thought about what I would do with my life. All right. Here we go. So we're going to go into an oven, 325 degrees. 350 you can do, but sometimes they get a little bit too browned at first, and you don't want to brown them. You just want to dry them out. So 325 for 15 minutes, and then we will pulse them up again and do round 2 of that. Here we go. Okay, the time has come to get the chickpeas out of the oven and pulse them up again into crumbs and then bake them again. Are you ready? Are you? I am. Do this carefully, obviously. You don't want to have bad oven gloves on. I mean, if you're doing this straight from the oven, obviously. You can let it cool down in between if you want to. Just take some extra time to do that, so it's up to you. But it's just real careful so it doesn't come all crashing down on you and you have a chickpea flood, an avalanche flying at your face. Chickpea avalanche flying at your face. Doesn't sound that cool to me. I don't know about you guys. Now we're just going to pull some up. Ooh, see how much better that looks already? That nice loose texture. A lot easier to spread out. And it's not clumping up, but it's still not quite dry enough to be used as crumbs. But a quick trip in the oven will remedy that. Okay, so finally the chickpea crumbs have had a chance to do their final roast in the oven. And then just to make sure they were completely dried out, I let them sit in the oven once I just turned it off and let them sit there and just kind of cool down as the oven cooled down. And that really helped to make sure they were just really dry. So if you have time to do that, that's probably your best bet. And then you can know for sure you can store them without any issues. So let's get them out and see how they look. All right, here we go. I don't really know why I'm wearing these because they're not cold, they're not hot. But this is them. This is the chickpea crumbles. So they're nice and fine because we processed them in the food processor before we did that final roast. There are a couple larger pieces, so if you wanted to, you could run it back through the food processor again. I probably won't. From this point, you can use them any way that you would use regular. I would probably go with like panko breadcrumbs for a comparable crunch. I'm going to use them in another video to make baked onion rings, but I've used them to coat cauliflower, tofu, broccoli, all sorts of stuff that would benefit from a nice crunchy coating. So from here, I'm going to just dump these in a bowl because I'm going to use them right away to make the onion rings. But you can store them in the cupboard. I would probably, just for safety's sake, just in case there are a couple pieces that maybe didn't get all the way dried out, just store them in the fridge or the freezer. They'll still stay nice and dry. But that's just a good idea to do with anything where if you're not going to use it right away. So if you were making a whole bunch of these and wanted to store them, stash them in the fridge or the freezer, because that way they're gonna stay fresh for you. So just get those in there. And you can see like they're not sticking to the pan at all. They move around really nicely. You can even hear them a little bit. So there we go. Ta-da! Chickpea crumbs. Super exciting. Okay, friends, I hope you liked this recipe. More of a method, really. Take a look for the onion ring video that's coming, and if it's available, it'll be linked in the description below. And don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell, make sure you know when I'm going to post a new recipe or Lessa Beth update or whatever. So I'll be shouting out to you guys a lot more coming up soon. So I hope that you are having a great day and that you're running to the store to grab some chickpeas so you can make chickpea crumbs. Bye guys.